Hello and welcome to C. Today's topic is free speech. It's a concept we all hold dear, yet it's often misunderstood. So, what does it really mean? And how do critical thinking and responsibility tie into it? Let's unpack this together. What is free speech? In its purest form, free speech is the right to express opinions without censorship, restraint, or fear of retaliation. It's a cornerstone of democracy, allowing us to share ideas, challenge norms, and foster progress. But, and here's the kicker, it doesn't mean you can say whatever you want without consequences. Think of free speech as a stage. You're free to step up and speak your mind, but the audience is also free to react, disagree, or even walk away. It's not about immunity from criticism, it's about the opportunity to be heard. This brings us to a common misunderstanding: free speech protects you from government suppression, not from social consequences. For instance, if you say something offensive at work, your employer has the right to address it. That's not a violation of free speech, it's accountability. The role of critical thinking now. Let's talk about critical thinking, a skill that's vital for making free speech meaningful. Critical thinking is the ability to analyze information, weigh evidence, and consider multiple perspectives. It's about asking, is this true? And, what are the consequences of this idea? Without critical thinking, free speech can devolve into a shouting match where opinions are tossed around without substance. For example, in today's digital world, we're bombarded with information. News articles, social media posts, videos, all vying for our attention. Critical thinking helps us sift through the noise. It allows us to distinguish between facts and misinformation, between constructive dialogue and harmful rhetoric. But here's the thing: critical thinking isn't just about challenging others. It's also about challenging ourselves. Are we open to the possibility that we might be wrong? Are we willing to listen and learn? Free speech and responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility, right? Free speech is no exception. The right to speak freely comes with the responsibility to use that freedom wisely. Responsibility means considering the impact of our words. Are we speaking to inform, inspire, or connect? Or are we speaking to hurt, divide, or provoke? This doesn't mean we can't express unpopular or controversial opinions. In fact, those are often the most important to share. But we must do so thoughtfully. Instead of attacking, we can debate. Instead of dismissing, we can engage. Let's take an example. Imagine someone expresses a belief you strongly disagree with. The knee-jerk reaction might be to label them as ignorant or intolerant. But what if, instead, you asked questions? What if you tried to understand where they're coming from? That doesn't mean you have to agree, but it does mean you're upholding the spirit of free speech, a two-way exchange of ideas. Challenges in the digital age. In the age of social media, free speech faces new challenges. Platforms like X and Facebook amplify voices, but they also amplify echo chambers, misinformation, and hostility. Here's where critical thinking and responsibility become even more crucial. Before sharing that viral post, ask yourself, is this accurate? And, does it contribute positively to the conversation? It's easy to hide behind anonymity and hurl insults online, but is that the best use of our freedom? Responsibility means recognizing that words have weight, even in digital spaces. Balancing free speech and harm. Now, let's address a delicate question: where do we draw the line? Does free speech mean allowing hate speech or incitement to violence? Most societies agree that free speech has limits, especially when it directly harms others. For example, shouting fire in a crowded theater isn't protected speech because it endangers lives. Similarly, hate speech laws exist in many places to prevent harm to marginalized groups. It's a tricky balance. On one hand, we don't want to suppress dissenting voices. On the other, we have a responsibility to protect people from harm. The key is finding that balance through open dialogue and clear guidelines. Free speech as a path to growth when exercised responsibly. Free speech isn't just a right, it's a tool for growth. It challenges us to think deeply, to confront uncomfortable truths, and to expand our horizons. Think of historic movements for civil rights, gender equality, and LGBTQ+ rights. They all began with people speaking up, often against overwhelming opposition. Free speech allowed those voices to be heard, paving the way for change. And here's an important reminder: progress doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens when people listen, reflect, and act. How can we do better? So, how can we uphold the principles of free speech while promoting critical thinking and responsibility? Here are a few ideas. 1. Listen actively. Before responding, take the time to truly understand what the other person is saying. 2. Ask questions. Curiosity opens doors to deeper conversations. 3. Fact check. Be a guardian of truth, not a spreader of misinformation. 4. Stay respectful. Disagreeing doesn't have to mean disrespecting. 5. Reflect on impact. Consider how your words might affect others, both positively and negatively. Closing thoughts: free speech is a beautiful, complex, and essential part of being human. It's not just about the right to speak, it's about the courage to listen, the wisdom to think critically, and the compassion to act responsibly. So, the next time you're in a heated discussion or about to hit post, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, am I using my voice in a way that adds value? Because ultimately, free speech isn't just a privilege, it's an opportunity to build bridges, spark ideas, and make the world a little better. Thank you for spending this time with me. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What does free speech mean to you? How do you navigate the balance between expression and responsibility? Let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, take care and keep thinking critically.